watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. From Toronto, Ontario, I'm Catherine Bullock. Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace. March is Fraud Prevention Month, and we'll be talking to the chair of Peel Crime Stoppers about that. But first, some news headlines. Canada opens its doors for Ukrainian refugees. Nova Scotia Muslims rally support for local hospital in memory of Barho family. Russia seizes Europe's largest nuclear power plant. Dozens dead after suicide bomber blasts Shia Mosque in Pakistan. And now, the details. Canadians are stepping up with offers to help Ukrainian refugees following Minister Sean Fraser's announcement Thursday that Canada will accept an unlimited number of Ukrainians under a new emergency travel program. The Ukrainian-Canadian Congress says that people are willing to provide legal or interpreting services and have reached out with offers to buy food, clothing, and sponsor refugees. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees announced that 1 million people fled Ukraine, with millions more expected. Canada hosts the largest Ukrainian population outside the country itself, of about 1.4 million people. Nova Scotia's Muslim community celebrated the opening of an upgraded recovery and wellness room in QE2 Hospital in honour of the Barho family, whose 7 children passed away when a fire broke out in their home in 2019. To thank QE2 for aiding the Barho family recover from the tragedy, Muslims in Nova Scotia held numerous fundraising events, from paint nights to lemonade stands, to raise money to renovate the room. The campaign coordinators gave a special shout out to Ummah Masjid and Community Centre and Kearney Lake Masjid for their help in coordinating events. Russia has taken control of Europe's largest nuclear power plant, Ukrainian authorities announced today. The State Nuclear Regulatory Inspectorate stressed that there have been no changes in radiation levels after a Russian projectile hit the facility and caused subsequent fires earlier today. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that an explosion would mean the end of Europe. The UN Security Council held an emergency meeting to discuss the developments. This is the second nuclear-related incident since the Russian invasion 9 days ago, with many reminded of the disastrous 1986 Chernobyl incident. At least 56 people are dead and 194 injured after a suicide bomber blew himself up during Friday prayers at Jamia Mosque in Peshawar, Pakistan. An armed man killed one and injured another police officer stationed outside the Shia mosques, say initial reports, before he entered the mosque and detonated 12 pounds of explosives. Witness Cheyenne Haider told international media sources that all he could see was dust and bodies everywhere. Prime Minister Imran Khan and Interior Minister Sheikh Rashid strongly condemned the attack. ISIS and the Pakistani Taliban have coordinated similar attacks against the minority Shia population in the past. And that's it for the news. March in Canada is Fraud Prevention Month. The RCMP says last year was historic for financial losses due to scams and fraud, up 130% compared to 2020, with a loss of $379 million. To talk to us about this today, we have our regular guest, Chair of Peel Crime Stoppers, Imran Hasan. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show.
Walaikum salam, Sister Kathy, and to your viewership. Thank you for the opportunity.
It's our pleasure. And in case anyone's wondering, we're in accidentally coordinating outfits today. It wasn't planned. But Brother Imran is a regular guest with us, and he's going to talk to us today about Fraud Prevention Month. So the figure I mentioned at the outset, 375 million up, historic high last year. Can you talk to us about this amount, these figures?
So just to preface our Fraud Prevention Month, it's an annual campaign that takes place to recognize, reject, and report fraud. And I think it's important for our audience to know that we're spending all resources to help highlight the profile of this initiative and that's taking into concert with our police services, not only here in Peel Region, but across Canada. And the figure that you've reported, Sister Kathy, that was provided by the RCMP is actually a fraction of the numbers that are actually occurring. And that's because only less than 5% of those victims who experience fraud actually report it. And that's for obvious reasons. They feel embarrassed or ashamed and reluctant to actually report the crime.
So when they say fraud, what does that mean?
So fraud can occur in various forms. There's telephone fraud. There's online, fraud through the internet, fraud through email, and just various variations of how people who are preying on those who are most vulnerable in our community. And it's such a shame that we have to designate a month just to create awareness for this, but it's so very important, Sister Kathy.
Is it always about money? So pretending to be, I remember getting a very scary telephone call claiming to be the CRA, and that if I didn't do something, my income tax, I was going to go to prison. It was a terrifying phone call. Is that the kind of thing you're talking about?
Listen, it's exactly that kind of thing, Sister Kathy, and it's unfortunate that people are preyed upon this way. It is similar to the example that you provided about the CRA and an arrest warrant being issued. There's also lottery scams where there's an opportunity for you to claim your prize but prepay the tax, and then of course demand notices and collection agencies contacting you, intimidating the caller to settle a cash settlement if you provide your credit card information over the phone, and that should never be done. And CRA will never issue a warrant for your arrest, and they certainly won't be contacting you by telephone. It'll all be done through official mail.
I sometimes get emails from supposedly a friend who's stranded overseas and I need money and email me at this bank account. I assume that that's another example of what you're talking about.
Yes, Sister Kathy, that's known as phishing. They will contact you, lure the victim into perhaps a scenario where someone who is feeling benevolent to help someone may be enticed to send money. Other times it could be entering into a romantic type of a relationship and then asking for money. Other times it could be immigration, scams where the criminals will offer those who are looking for immigration to Canada, fees that can be paid for and expediting a service, which clearly Citizenship and Immigration Canada doesn't provide. So these are all forms of scams, including, unfortunately, charities that are taken advantage of. They never, prey on victims this way. Charities should always be fact-checked and back-checked. And if you're not comfortable with the phone call, hang up and call back the organization on the published number from their website.
So I noticed in the press release, RCMP says that impersonation is one of the leading causes of these kinds of frauds and scams. And so they're going to focus on impersonation this month. I think we've been talking about it, but can we just make it a little bit more clear?
So impersonation can happen in different forms. It could be you've gone for a job interview, and now someone has inadvertently contacted you by email suggesting that they're your employer, and that in order for you to qualify for this job application, you need to provide certain sensitive, confidential information by email. And again, that should never be the case. Any information like that should be provided in person. There are other ways that someone can impersonate. For example, if you're looking for a rental property and you've applied and somebody's contacted you saying, "Listen, this is a limited opportunity. You can secure the property immediately if you provide this credit card information over the phone, and we'll secure a deposit." And clearly, that's not the case.
So, Peel Crime Stoppers, how are you involved in Fraud Prevention Month?
Well, through conversations like this, Sister Kathy, and raising awareness through the media, and in our local newspapers, and in conversations with our community, to let them know that this is an important topic. In fact, in the summertime, we undertake an initiative. We call it a document shredding fundraiser. And we invite the public to come out and bring their confidential documents they would like to have destroyed securely. And we shred those documents in exchange for a donation. And we did that last year. And I think it was the month of June or July. And we're going to time it around, the end of summer and maybe before school starts, so that people can destroy their documentation securely, because identity theft is a leading cause of fraud, where people are able to take your personal information from a bill, from any kind of application that you have completed and decided to destroy. But rather than shredding it, you've simply thrown it into your recycling bin. And those fraudsters, we call them the dumpsters, will go in and they will start sifting through all that mail to only get your information, so they can extract funds from either your account or contact you and impersonate someone and extract funds from you through your credit card.
One of the things I've noticed about those emails I get sometimes claiming to be from, I don't know, the Bank of Montreal or whatever, it looks really real. Like, I'm aware of this issue, but I'm still really tempted to click. So what's your number one tip for someone?
Do your homework. Know your rights. There's no way you should give up your personal and confidential information over the phone, ever. And when it comes to email phishing, when you're contacted by solicited by an institution, know that you're not required to put in your password, put in your date of birth, or any confidential information. If at any time you're solicited this way, just disengage. Pick up the phone, call the trusted institution that you know, and they will validate to you at that time that if they need you, that they will contact you over the phone, and maybe even insist on you coming into the branch or into the location physically to be able to validate certain information.
At the beginning, you mentioned that only 5% of frauds get reported. I'm guessing you're going to encourage everyone to do better than that. Can you tell us why it's important?
People are often reluctant to report crimes generally and fraud specifically because of the shame factor, and because they will likely have to give up their personal information in order to report. And we've talked about it before, Sister Kathy, and it's worth repeating that Peel Crime Stoppers offers an anonymous tip line, which concerned citizens can call, victims can call and report the activity or suspicious activity or illegal activities that are happening in their community. And this in itself will help law enforcement agencies to either prevent the crimes that are occurring or help solve the crimes that have already occurred.
Well, we're out of time, but thank you for raising this important issue with us, and we pray that everyone stays protected. We'll put some more information in the chat box, numbers to call that you're going to provide us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sister Kathy.
You've been watching Canadian Muslim News. Stay tuned for the next episode. Stay safe and God bless.